Have you ever found yourself stuck in emotional patterns that seem to defy logic? Do you wonder why certain relationships feel so familiar, almost too familiar, even when they're brand new? Why is it that sometimes, no matter how far we run from our past, it still finds a way to echo through our present? What if the answer to these questions lies not in what's happening around you, but in what's still unresolved within you? What if your earliest relationship, the one with your mother, holds the key to your emotional blueprint? This video is not about blame. It's not about guilt. It's about clarity. It's about truth. And most importantly, it's about healing. From the moment we enter the world, the mother becomes our first emotional mirror. She is not just a caretaker. She is the first face of love, the first touch of comfort, the first boundary between self and other. Carl Jung called her the mother archetype, a deep, symbolic imprint in our collective unconscious. This archetype is not merely your biological mother. It is a vast psychological force representing nourishment, safety, protection, and at times fear, rejection, or neglect. Whether your mother was warm or cold, present or absent, loving or conditional, her influence lingers far beyond childhood. It forms the groundwork for how you experience intimacy, safety, connection, and most of all, how you relate to yourself. And here's what's often misunderstood. Even in seemingly good or normal upbringings, the mother wound can still exist, not because our mothers failed us, but because no human can fully meet the boundless emotional needs of a developing child. Long before we had words, long before we had memory, we had feelings. We absorbed emotion like air, without question. If love was mixed with anxiety, we learned that love feels unsafe. If affection came only when we achieved or behaved, we learned that love must be earned. If emotions were dismissed, we learned that our feelings are a burden. These are emotional blueprints. They live in our nervous system, not just our minds. They become the silent scripts by which we live, until we bring them into the light. Jung taught that these patterns, if unconscious, create what he called projections. We begin to see our mother in the people around us. We seek comfort from partners who resemble her emotional rhythm. We recoil from conflict if it once threatened our bond with her. We chase approval from bosses, mentors, or friends, mirroring the dynamic of a child seeking her love. And here's the challenge. We often do this without realizing it. The mother becomes a symbol in our psyche. And when we haven't consciously examined that symbol, we project it onto the canvas of our relationships. A partner becomes the source of validation we never got. A friend becomes the one we're afraid to disappoint. Even our own self-talk echoes her voice, sometimes nurturing, other times critical. But projections are never about the other person. They are reflections of our unmet needs, unspoken fears, and unprocessed grief. And until we become aware of them, we don't truly see the people in front of us. We see only the shadows of the past. So how do we begin to break free from this invisible web? Carl Jung offered us a path, the journey of individuation. Individuation is not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to who you truly are beneath the layers you built for protection. It begins with awareness, and awareness begins with questions like, what emotional roles did I learn to play to keep the peace? Whose voice is my inner critic actually echoing? What do I believe I must do in order to be loved? These are not easy questions, but they are essential ones. Because to individuate is to reclaim your truth from the patterns you inherited. It is to honor your story, not by rejecting your mother, but by understanding her as a human being, not an ideal. True healing requires that we see our mother clearly, not as a saint, not as a villain, but as a woman shaped by her own story. Her own wounds, her own unmet needs. She carried a lineage. And if we're honest, so do we. Perhaps she withheld love because that's all she knew. Perhaps she gave too much and lost herself in the process. Perhaps she expected perfection because that's what was expected of her. This isn't about excusing pain. It's about contextualizing it. Because when we understand the origins of a wound, we stop bleeding from it. We interrupt the cycle. Not by forgetting the past, but by feeling it, integrating it, and choosing differently. Even into adulthood, unmet childhood needs quietly pull the strings. You may overextend yourself to prove you're enough. You may suppress your emotions to avoid rejection. You may enter relationships, hoping someone else will finally give you the love you never received. These aren't weaknesses, they are adaptations, once necessary for survival, but now silently sabotaging your joy. The truth is, no partner, no career, no external success can fill a void that was formed before you had words to name it. But you can. You can reparent yourself. You can learn to be the safe space you never had. You can become the nurturer, protector, and guide your inner child has always longed for. Here's where the path turns inward. Healing the mother wound doesn't require a perfect plan. It requires presence, patience, and deep honesty. Here are some steps to begin. 1. Notice your triggers. When emotions feel disproportionate to the moment, ask, what memory or unmet need is this connected to? 2. Journal your emotional patterns. Explore the ways your early maternal relationship may be shaping your adult ones. Don't filter, let it flow. To practice inner dialogue, speak to your inner child. Offer the reassurance and compassion you once needed. Make it a daily ritual. 4. Challenge the inner critic. When a harsh voice speaks within, ask, is this truly mine or is it inherited? 5. Set boundaries with compassion. Boundaries are not rejections. They are invitations to authentic connection. Start with yourself. Honor your emotional limits. 6. See your mother through new eyes. Try to understand her wounds without absorbing them. Recognize her humanity. This doesn't mean re-engaging unhealthy dynamics. It means freeing yourself from emotional enmeshment. 7. Seek support when needed. Therapists, spiritual mentors, and conscious communities can help mirror your process with insight and empathy. And finally, be patient. Emotional rewiring doesn't happen overnight, but every conscious act is a thread in the tapestry of your healing. Your mother gave you the first chapter, but the rest of the book, every page from here on, is yours. You can write a story rooted in awareness instead of reaction. You can choose relationships that reflect your wholeness, not your wounds. You can be the generational shift your lineage has been waiting for. This is what Jung meant when he said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Now, you're making it conscious. Most importantly, remember this. Healing doesn't begin with forgetting your mother. It begins with understanding her. And in doing so, you understand yourself, not as a product of wounds, but as a soul reclaiming wholeness. This is not just your story. It is your transformation. Your emotional freedom is not only possible, it has already begun.